You were to step into the octagon with either of them, who would you pick?
Welcome to The Scene Drift, a podcast exploring the worlds of film, television, and entertainment, and the people who bring those stories to life, drifting through stories, one scene at a time. Today we're diving into Beast, a high-intensity action thriller that throws you straight into a fight from its opening moments. It follows Patton James, a fighter pushed to his limits in a world where survival is never guaranteed. It's a film built on pressure, instinct, and raw emotion, where every second feels like a turning point. Joining me is lead actor Daniel MacPherson, who plays Patton James. We get into the making of that explosive opening sequence, his long-running collaboration with Russell Crowe, and what it really takes to step into a role that demands total physical and emotional commitment. Let's get into this.
Perfect,
Bro.
perfect, perfect.
How are you,
So,
man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, very well, very well. Cool hat. We got a little galaxy going on there. What is that?
Yeah, LA Galaxy.
Yeah, man.
I see you've got LA on as
Well,
well.
this brand called Good Quality Human, but I like it. They just it's but I LA has been home on and off for 15 years, so I still got a very special place in my heart, my man.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, hailing from Australia, he brings the grit and the heart to the screen. Daniel MacPherson, it's time.
My man, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Great to
And
chat.
that opening, the first few minutes of the film, the mantra between you and Russell Crowe.
Why do you need to breathe? So I can think. Why? If I can breathe, I can think. If I can think, I can win. That's the way, boy. Come on.
I'll be honest, I had to pause it and then I had to go for a run. It pumped me up that much. And then once the film ended, I had to go for another run. So how was it when you were performing that scene? How did that make you feel?
Man, that's the exact response we want. You know, I'll never forget that opening 4 minutes of the film was Russell's last day on set, and Tyler Atkins, our director, had pitched him this big one-shot opening underneath a stadium where the fights were going on. And initially, Russell was a little bit resistant, and Tyler left out a few key pieces. But once everybody got on the same page, it became one of the most instantly kind of iconic moments of the film and hopefully of Australian cinema. But man, when we finally got that, and that was take four, is the one that was in the movie. The first two takes were okay, and then the third take, Russell started really screaming at me, and we kind of started getting there, and the director came in and went, "Wow, it's amazing!" And Russell and I looked at each other and went, "Great, we can do it better." And the fourth take is the one that everybody's hair on the crew and everyone that was in that room and everyone was watching the monitors outside, everybody had their hair standing on end and goosebumps, and we went, "I think we got a movie here," you know?
I'll be honest, you set the tone perfectly.
Right?
Yeah,
Well, you,
like normally it takes a film maybe 10, 20 minutes. You guys did it within the first
yeah.
2 3 minutes. And
Yeah,
that
and it
was
was like if you can make an audience feel something like that in that first 4 minutes, then you know instantly and immediately the feeling that you're trying to get back to, because things obviously change very quickly without giving too many spoilers away. But from that, the highest of highs, it's a journey back to the top of that mountain after that, and that it tells the audience straight away this is the feeling we're going for.
perfect. And
Yeah,
Sammy and Patton, they've got this unresolved tension between them throughout most of the film.
yeah.
And obviously, you and Russell, you've had around like three collaborations so far.
Mm.
How was it trying to get into that that role with him? And just
Oh,
how did you prepare for those scenes with him?
yeah, man. Look, it's an absolute honor every time I get to step, anytime anyone gets to step on set opposite someone like Russell and opposite Russell himself. You're right. It's the third time we've been able to do it, and the evolution in my journey in only the course of a few years, but I think it was 2021 or 2022. We were shooting Poker Face. Not only was he the lead, he was the star of that film. He was the director as well. I'll never forget stepping on set, and my first day on set was opposite Russell in a two-hander. He was directing two big close-ups with the first two shots of the scene, and I was, nervous as I've ever been in 25 years of acting. fast forward a couple of years, our third film together, not only are we great friends, but we've had these three different dynamics. The first one where he was very much directing me as well as the lead in that film. The second one, we were part of a larger ensemble with Liam and Luke Hemsworth and Milo Ventimiglia, and we were working very closely and
Land
almost
of Bad.
spontaneously. Land of Bad, man, which
Manga
is another
movie.
film that punches well above its weight, you know, using
Yeah.
some fighting analogies, but that's a little sleeper hit. And then by the time Beast came around, it was like the tables were turned, man. He was like, this is your shot, and I'm going to
Mm.
come in and I'm going to support you, and we'll elevate, you know, any way we can together. And so to firmly be going toe to toe with one of the all time greats, um, you just got to give it everything you've got. You got to get out of your own head. You got to trust all the work that you've done in your life and career to get to this point, and just stay in the moment and let it fly free, man. And hopefully the editor and the director and everybody involved can cobble something together. But it was an extraordinary experience, and to walk away and to see yourself up on screen going toe to toe with one of the greatest of all time is very satisfying, mate.
Yeah, and he's a co-writer on this film as well. And
Mm,
honestly, I was surprised because he's known for giving these great big speeches like in Gladiator.
yeah.
If he was in your corner and he gave you a corner speech, what would it be?
Well, he actually has, you know, he's given me a
Ooh,
couple. We went up to Thailand while we were prepping for this film. So not only did Russell sort of have a co-writing, you know, experience with David Frigerio on this film in particular, and look, you know, there's that great big scene where we're sitting in the office halfway through the film where he had a big hand in writing that speech about Patton's history and his backstory. And that morning, I'll never forget, he was like, "You got that speech down?" Like, yeah. He goes, "No, no, you really got it down?" I was like, yeah, I got it, I got it. And didn't tell him that I hadn't really got it down because I wanted to make some changes. But that ended up being one of the most satisfying and amazing sort of cinematic performance moments of my career with him on that. But as we were prepping for Beast, we went up to Thailand together, and
mm,
we hung out in Thailand. We went to the one championship fights, but we were also on a river boat, you know, one of those traditional Thai boats going up the river. And he was in my ear, like going, this is what it takes to be a leading man. This is what it takes to be an engaging lead of a film from start to finish. You know, it's all about heart. It's all about openness. It's all about letting the audience come in and come with you. You know, and he said there's a pitfall that a lot of actors can fall into when they're playing these tough, you know, fighting characters or harder characters. That they put up all these walls and you can't even let the audience in. So he gave me some really nice pep talk words up there in Thailand. My buddy Warren Brown is a great English actor and up there from the north, mate, from Warrington. He was on that boat with us, and he snapped a couple of shots of Russell and I just the great man in my ear giving me this pep talk, and those will go on a wall somewhere one day.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you worked with the Hemsworths on Land of Bad,
Mm.
and you also worked on Poker Face with Luke, uh,
Yeah.
Liam. Sorry,
Liam, yeah, yeah,
Liam,
yeah.
sorry. It's a bit cheeky, but if you were to step into the octagon with either of them, who would you pick?
Liam and Chris are so tall that, and they've got long limbs, and Liam will show you he's got a great teep. He's got a big, nasty front kick that he likes showing off, particularly, you know, on an afternoon barbecue after a couple of beers or whatnot. Liam's not shy in showing you some of his kicks. Luke is my height, but broader, and has
Mm.
got the thickest calves and quads I've ever seen, and he is so dense. But I think I'd have to take Luke because just in terms of distance management, and in terms of kind of, yeah, size and ability, I think those two taller boys would really be hard to handle. You know, Chris has got a great punch on him. Look, Luke's a great boxer. You know, Craig, their father, really instilled some boxing into those boys their whole life. So I have to say, Luke also is the oldest. He's like me, so he's obviously the most broken, the most damaged, the most physically vulnerable, and he's also one of my best mates. So if in doubt, you would probably just end up laughing.
I mean, I would have probably chose Luke as well because that guy in the film was I wasn't a fan of him. I wasn't a fan of him because Patton's brother died. he had no remorse. He was just like,
Mate, it
no,
was out of
let's
there.
get,
It was out of
let's
there.
secure another bag.
Oh, I know, man. He plays such a great bad guy. Reminiscent of a young Jack Nicholson, I think, is our boy Luke. He's always got that twinkle in those blue eyes, and whenever he stepped on set, it's such an arduous shoot for me. I started prepping October. We specifically in October. It was the third time that I've been prepping for this film. The physical prep, the acting and performance prep, the fighting choreography, and we shot, through until the end of March, and Luke didn't turn up until quite late in that shoot. But having him there on set as one of my best mates, we first started on Neighbours together 25 years
Yeah.
ago. We shot a bunch of movies together. So having Luke there as a supporter, but also as an extraordinary actor, but also as one of my great mates, but also as one of the world's best. Some days it's nice just to hand off some of the heavy lifting to those guys, and I'm very grateful to have him there.
Yeah. And obviously this film is very MMA based,
Mm,
UFC as well.
mm.
Um, let's say pattern, you could put him up against any past or present UFC or MMA fighter. Who would you be choosing? Who's your MVP?
I was about to answer this. I think my MVP, my all-time MVP, has got to be Georges St. Pierre. I listened to his audio book, the Way of the Fight, the Art of the Fight, the Way of the Fight. And I took a lot from that when I was trying to get into the fighter's mindset and really understand what made them tick. But look, I'd like to, if I was going in there to really have my butt kicked by someone that I was a big fan of, Charles Oliveira is one of my all-time favorites. Volk is amazing. Actually, Volk saw the film yesterday. I got a message from Volk yesterday saying that he loved it and he was stoked with it, which was great. Some heavyweight guys like John Jones and Alex Pereira, who I just wouldn't go near, but geez, they're incredible. And then, you go down and you look at guys like Demetrius Johnson, who pound for pound, what a career he's had. Um, and I'd quite happily let him kick my ass in the octagon.
And Daniel, after wrap up, and you did
Yeah,
get in amazing shape for this film,
yeah.
and it just made me rethink my cheat days. And quickly, did you have any cheat days?
Yeah, no, I did. Look, nothing quite motivates like knowing that you're going to see your half-naked backside on screen for the rest of your life. So when that kind of happens on cinema, you have a great motivation to get in shape. Not only did I want to represent the industry as a whole and the global culture of MMA, I wanted to represent those athletes, male and female, that work so hard to put their bodies on the line for these sports that we love so much. So I left no stone unturned. I trained on again, off again for nearly 3 years. And then when the film was finally greenlit, I was 3 sessions a day, high intensity interval training. I was fasted cardio. Then I was big 3 or 4 hours a day, MMA fighting and choreography stuff. Then I was picking my son up from school. And then I was doing some heavier weights at night. So I was working really, really hard. And it was nice when we finally wrapped to have a break. A year later, I'm still putting the body back together.
That's amazing. And it was lovely speaking to you, Daniel, and congrats on the release.
Appreciate it very much, mate. Take it easy. Bye
See you later.
bye.